Hello, YouTube. This is Dennis Schaller with the Otsuka Pharmaceutical Development and Commercialization team. Recently, PsychU hosted a webinar titled Supporting Individuals Living with a Mental Health Condition Through 988 and Mental Health Education. During the discussion, our speakers reviewed the current landscape of mental health in the United States and shared perspectives on the importance of mental health education and training. They discussed the successes and challenges of the Suicide Crisis Lifeline 988, and they shared resources to support individuals living with a mental health condition. This presentation was sponsored by Otsuka Pharmaceutical Development and Commercialization, Inc. and Lundbeck LLC, two committed supporters of the mental health treatment community. Speakers are paid consultants to OPDC, and I'm an employee of OPDC. So let's look at a few clips from the webinar. What would you like to see improved, maybe from this interaction or more broadly? What do you think is missing here?
It's a great question because I think that it obviously whoever was answering, it's not like they were like cold or rude necessarily. It's obviously not their intent. Like they feel bad. Good luck. I hope you find what you're looking for. That might not be a therapeutic thing to say, but this kind of goes back to when we started talking about this at the beginning of the webinar, that the comfortability is not necessarily there. Even with someone who has a job like in this field, the comfortability of facing these things head on and really asking the hard questions about crisis, because people don't typically call up and say, I am in crisis verbatim, that would be something to really pay attention to, as to how can we help people who are working with 988 assess for whether or not this is a crisis, and then what to do next. Like if this isn't a crisis, and say this person, isn't in crisis and they really do just want some resources, it's not appropriate to just say, we don't have it by, maybe we can point them in a direction, and it'll be an ongoing process that we can perfect over time, but having these kinds of things in place where we can point people into the right direction would be really helpful. Like thinking about when you call 911, if you say like, I have a sinus infection, maybe the person who's answering 911 will say, maybe you don't need an ambulance. Have you tried contacting your primary care physician? Just something that helps redirect, and that's really lacking in this particular interaction.
But Dwayne, really have to bring you into the fold here because you have so many important perspectives to add from your experiences, particularly working in peer support, right? I think that when we think about it, peer support programs perhaps have elements of mental health first aid training. So, Dwayne, when you think about peer support and peer support programs, what elements of mental health first aid do you think are built in or inherent to that peer specialist training?
Well, Dennis, many of the values, principles, and practices of the mental health first aid training are part of many statewide certifications for peer support providers. I just want to mention something that Laura touched on when it comes to the stigma of an emotional crisis, particularly with suicide attempts or death by suicide. I really believe that was one of the reasons why the 988 crisis line was presented to be an alternative to 911, with law enforcement responding to suicide attempts. Is a way of destigmatizing and decriminalizing emotional distress.
Thank you for watching our YouTube teaser. To watch the entire webinar, please click on the link in the description below. Please be sure to register for upcoming webinars and watch other on-demand webinars while you're there as well. Thanks and have a great day.